totally. And so I was, what just happened?
So my fat ass got hella food.
Bez believe that was his name. He wanted.
If any of
kinda
you
like-
check out the stream I just put up, I'd appreciate it. But I'm gonna hop
Yeah,
out
I'll
of this
share it.
Discord and into the main one. Probably push a bit harder, but kind of make it.
Okay, I gave up on this audio shit. It's just not gonna work the way I actually want it to work.
I gotta turn. Damn it! Look how is that streaming? Wow! Remember when I tried to stream the first Project Cars on PS4?
What?
Blurry mess.
Project Cars?
Yeah, I used to try to stream the first Project Cars and Drive Club on PS4. Remember that? But I had the PVR for actually because it was so bad. I was trying to get it better by streaming with my 8350 by itself and a capture card and H.264. You know, not a capture card, a PVR. That's what I had the PVR for. When I had that dual processor beast.
I don't remember this game.
Oh no! I blew that corner. This is Project Cars 2. I mean, I don't have a wheel hooked up. I mean, I don't play this like Mr. Speed Racer or anything.
Oh.
This game actually isn't very sim-like. Not compared to like real sim racers. It's more like a Gran Turismo Forza type game, handling and physics wise.
Okay.
So you don't have to be Dale Earnhardt to be good at it. You can be Ricky Bobby. Your best Ricky. I mean, with a controller, I can. Once I get comfortable, because last time I played this, I was playing on the Xbox One controller. I was on a controller. I could drift through corners in a Scion. I could like religiously drift through certain corners on certain tracks, just hang the tail out and just throw it around like a dirty and slap it in the ass like a dirty hood bag. My wife will give me a second because I'm trying to see if I can get it to set into the hairpin right and just walk itself sideways out. There we go. I will stop right up here past the finish line and make out with my wife saying Knyte. It's just a little test. But you see what I mean? We actually have the power to do this. I always wanted to stream this. Remember, I used to try to stream racing all the time, but it always was a pixelated mess whenever you got into, learn to drive. Whoa, that's a hoon right there. That's a hoon right there. Here, look. I had to drop it off-road. And my settings, I don't have traction control or anything like that on. I run it. I mean, you can turn all that on. It's just like Gran Turismo in that respect. You can turn your traction controls and any skid and slip stuff. All that can be turned on it. It'll take a minute there for it to show up there. But if you go to gameplay, you can have... I enable full assist just in case anybody else ever plays with me, and I have anti-lock brakes on low just because when you're playing with a controller, it's hard to like hit that bubble, you know. So I have it on low just so if I grab just a hair too hard for a second, it won't lock up. That I cheat a little because I'm playing with the controller. But everything else, there's no assistance on anything. Nothing's on. I'm just driving the car with a controller. Because even if you look at my look at my controls and you look at my configuration, I have almost no dead zone in my sticks. That means any play beyond 2% of that zone off the center there, well, of the anything beyond 2% of that dead zone will be saw on a stick. 50% steering sensitivity. It says for the vehicle's wheels in-game to match your own steering input, set this to 50%, meaning I am controlling the degree of the wheel directly through the joystick. There is no steering assist. Get used to it. And especially if you're someone that's good at like shooters and stuff like that, like sniping and everything, be surprised. You get good at it. I can throw a car around the corner and everything else. Not as good as using a wheel. I won't even go as far as to say my best laps on a controller would probably match my best laps on a wheel. Just on a wheel, it's easier to be more consistent. You have such little of a threshold for a mistake with a joystick when you're controller. But it actually works good. Well, okay, that was too much. Okay.
Did you turn off your stream?
No, I paused for a second. I was explaining. I was explaining that stuff I was just explaining about my menu settings and how I have no babysitters on and everything. Yeah, I may not have talked about any of that. I'll explain in a minute.
Great.
But that's the bad part about playing with the mic mute and everything. How do you think? Sure, Ben? How you? But no, what I was explaining in the menus about, like, if you watch me in the menus hit the my options, you'll see I have my controls in a 1-to-1, meaning that I control the angle of the tires fully. Versus typical arcade racer thing where there's like, you throw your stick all the way one way or the other, and it'll slowly turn until it hits the end. Mine's direct. That's what 50%. You see it says that 50%, if you want your throttle or steering input amount to match what your input amount on the controller is, set it at 50%. That way it's 1-to-1. So you can like blip your throttle on your trigger and crap like that, because the PS4 controller's actually got a trigger, you know? It's actually pretty good for that type of stuff. The Xbox One controller, certain games even, you have trigger rumble for like your race sims and stuff. It's pretty cool. And believe it or not, that adds a different level to it. Was this one? Oh yeah, there you go. I slid a little that time without kissing going ass over tea kettle. But yeah, you can set this game however you want it, and to be honest with you, it drives like an old Gran Turismo. It just got laser scan tracks and stuff like the big sims. Well, the tracks look like crud. They're laser scanned, but they're not as high a bitmap as. Eh. This game focuses more on having like dead on tracks. Whoa! More on having like the best track than it does having realistic to perfect tracks and a decent handling method. The only difference is, it's like the difference between driving GTA on a PC, on the PS4 versus the PC. I don't know if you ever noticed, GTA feels a little like the cars feel like they have a little more of a traction profile when you're driving them. There's a little bit of a difference between surfaces and everything. Or what I like to call it, the tires are actually made by air-filled rubber and they're not made out of bricks with traction features. You actually can tell the tires giving and moving and everything, like you would in a real car, like if you hit a bump or something. You know how there's that little give that you can't tire itself, like if you roll across something or anything? If you didn't have if you didn't have the air in the tire, everything would be an instant jolt, you know what I mean, into your car. Driving on most console racers feels like that. The tires feel more realistic, way more. I actually feel like air pillows filled with rubber. And this is not by any means, the car I'm driving is not a full-on race car. I mean, it's not an supercar. I mean, it's just a Toyota 86 race car. It's like 300 horsepower. Nothing special. Just a race car version. So it's rear-wheel drive. It's that small Boxster I think it's that small Boxster engine still. Either way, it's a very well balanced little car. It's just a little freaking roadster style car. Oh, would you slide? This doesn't have quite enough power to break loose when I want it to, that's all. But I mean, as far as something that, like, if anybody else would play, fucking, this would be a pretty good car to use. Nice car, it's fun to drive. Anybody that can play Gran Turismo can get to the point they can drift around in this car. See, my brother actually will play Project Cars with me. He likes Project Cars. One of his favorite racers. And he likes this class of car. Oh yeah, he likes this and Forza the best. He's a Forza guy. Why'd I do that? Sometimes I get excited. Freaking clip that corner and you just nail everything right. It's like you get excited sometimes and that'll yourself get mad. But is that running good and smooth over there and everything?
Yep.
I'm racing. It's harder for me to watch this.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Get that corner. The only bad thing about in-car views, unless you have like the head trackers or anything, you can't look, over your shoulder like, right? Wow, that was bad. Like if you were driving your car, you could look kind of at the apex of the corner as you drive into it. And you would do that in the real world. And in VR, you do that. Like, see, this game actually supports VR. You know that? This is a Rift title. Be another thing, we can play this shit in VR. You can stream VR. Like, I could totally, even with my busted Rift and my wires, I could play something setting down like this in VR. Something like this or the tank game. Whoa, my tires are shot. Whoa, whoa. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Tom Cruise. Okay, that was dumb. I Ricky Bobby that corner, buddy. I walked in there with my peen all big or something, all stuff like that, and I was like, hey, guys, check me out. That corner was like, yeah. Touch you. Now I'm just... Come on. All right, I'm done with the test stream. I'm gonna head back into the